Yo, what's up? I'm back, man. I'm still riding on this Marvel high. It's a lot to talk about still. It's been on my mind all day. I've been just thinking about a lot of things about this movie. I actually gotten around to see a lot of other people's reviews on YouTube. And, from what I saw, for the most part, all the reviews that I've saw, for the most part, everybody seems to really like this film, to the very least. There's some that love it, some that says that, really like it like me, but they still had their little issues with it. And then I saw one review and they said it sucked. I can't go that far. I can't say it sucked, because like I said last night in my first impressions review, that walking out, I really liked the film a lot. I really enjoyed it, but I had my expectations set so high to where I kind of felt let down a little bit. Like the hype for me kind of like died down after I saw Endgame. It wasn't like revved up to the max after seeing it. I was like, yo, I want to see it again. It was just like, it was really good. Like I really liked it a lot. And I was like, to be honest with you, like going into it, I was planning on seeing this movie 3 times. Now, like after seeing it, I don't think I could do that. Like 2 is like pushing it, to be honest. I feel like if you see this movie 1 time and that's it, you're good. Like you're good to go. Seeing it again is the it's like pushing it. And I'm gonna see the movie again, but after that second time, that's it for me. I don't think I could do anymore, because this film, I said this last night, it's not really that memorable compared to Infinity War. If I had to choose between which one is the better film, as of right now, I'm still going to choose Infinity War. I feel like Infinity War was the most solid film out of the 2. And as far as where would I put it, like overall, within all the other MCU films, it's in the top 10, but it's like way down. It's like 9 at best. Because if somebody was to ask me like, hey, we got 22 Marvel films on the table, like 22 Marvel movie DVDs on the table. Pick at least pick 5 that you want to watch off top. And I could easily do that before I mention Endgame. Easily. Like not even thinking like, okay, this. I don't even have to think about it before I pick up Endgame to watch again. So, I went into this on a super, super high. And I feel like one of the main things with this movie is not really this movie's fault, to be honest with you. I feel like it gets plagued by Infinity War. It gets overshadowed by Infinity War, because to me, Infinity War was the pinnacle. After Infinity War, you're like, oh snap, you know what I'm saying? And Infinity War set the bar so high that it's pretty much almost impossible to reach that level, like to even surpass it, what I'm saying. I feel like it's a little bit below Infinity War, to be honest with you. It's not, I don't even think it's on the same level. It's like a couple of notches below Infinity War. And to surpass Infinity War, to like seeing how Infinity War played out, it's almost impossible to make a film that's like, that will tap that, to give you something that you've never seen before. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was expecting going into this film. I thought this was going to be just like balls out, 3 hours nonstop like action. You're going to get some heavy scenes here and there, but I thought it was going to be more impactful. I thought it was going to be much more memorable and stuff. And in the end, it just wasn't that, because it's a slow burn. It's a very long movie, and it takes its time. It takes its time telling the story. It takes its time going around different places to kind of resolve things. And you have to kind of like go into this film kind of open-minded. Like, don't set your expectations super, super, super high, because if you do, you may be disappointed. And I feel like that ruined the experience for me. I wasn't able to enjoy it as much as I could have enjoyed it, because of, me knowing how Infinity War played out. And like, yo, I'm just like let's go. You know what I'm saying? And after seeing this, you're like, wow, I wasn't even expecting that. Like, I liked it, but I was like, okay, it's still good, but like, man, I was just expecting something much greater, and you never got that. And like I said, I don't think it's this movie's fault. It's not this movie's fault, because I feel like this is the best you could do. like I said, with how Infinity War played out, because a lot of other people mentioned this, and I agree that, after Infinity War, they kind of put themselves in a hole. Like, after the, like half the universe is wiped out. So where do you go from there? Like, how do you, because even after, like, Avengers and Infinity War, that's what I said, like, right after I saw Infinity War, I'm like, how the hell are you gonna, like, end this? Like, where do you go from here? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like this was the best that they could do. So they did a great job with trying to, like, tie in loose ends and just make the whole story complete. I feel like this is the best we could get. You can't get any better. There was a couple of things that, didn't make sense, but, if you think about it, it does involve time travel, and with time travel, a lot of things are not going to make sense to you. Like, with time travel, it's impossible to make a movie based on time travel that makes complete sense. It's not. It's definitely not. And this one definitely had some holes in it. But you kind of have to shut your brain off to those sort of things, because if you start nitpicking and stuff, you're going to think, you're going to not like the movie as much. So, like I said, going into it, like, if you haven't seen it yet, I said this last night, just go in there open-minded. Especially if you've seen Infinity War, like, don't go in on a super high. Like, I know Infinity War is great. We all know it's great, but kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna just go in here. I don't know what to expect. And with me too, like, I didn't see none of the trailers, so I didn't know what they showed in the trailers or not, because I stayed away from all that stuff. All I saw was the very first trailer. So I don't know what they spoiled in the trailers. I don't know which scenes they showed. So, if you saw the trailers, I don't know what kind of movie you thought it was gonna be. But for me, I thought it was just going to be, like, complete action-packed, nonstop, just things that you just never seen before, and in the end, I never got that. But like I said, I still really enjoyed the film. I really, really liked it. And I feel like once I see it again, I'm still going to like it. It's not going to be like, oh, damn, it sucks now. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to be like, oh, okay, I like it. And maybe I'll be able to appreciate it a little bit more now that the hype is died down. Now, like, my head is clear. Excuse me. Now that my head is clear, now that, I've saw it already, I already know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going in on a super high. I'm just going in to watch the movie again. Maybe I'll be able to enjoy it more than when I watched it the first time. So, yeah, man, just go into it with an open mind and see what you get from it. Now, I did want to mention something. Like I said, I went around to see other people's reviews, and from what everybody was saying, man, a lot more people loved it than I expected. I'm kind of surprised about that. Like I said, I didn't see a lot of other people's reviews, but I saw a good couple of them, and for the most part, a lot of people loved the film. And I thought it was going to be more divisive. I thought there was going to be people that's going to be more disappointed, to be honest. I thought, there's going to be people that's going to be like, man, Marvel let me down with this. And, there's a lot of people that still hasn't seen the film yet. So maybe once this weekend plays out and more reviews start rolling in, you may see more of those reviews where people are like, man, I'm just disappointed, I don't really think this movie is as good as I thought it would be. But for the most part, so far, the people who've put out their reviews, who already seen it at the midnight showing, they loved it. So, I'm kind of surprised about that. But, I mean, it's all good. Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody sees things from different perspectives. And, hearing their reasons why they loved it, I could understand why. This film is definitely... is centered around the comic book fans. It's centered around people who's into the whole lore of Marvel, people who's been following the MCU from the very beginning, just strict comic book heads in general. For the most part, they're gonna love it. So I shouldn't be surprised at the end, because a lot of the reviews that I've seen, they are from, comic book heads or fans of the MCU, like super big fans of the MCU. So I shouldn't be surprised that they will love it, because this is the movie for them, for me and all the other people. But even me, like, as a huge fan of the MCU, I can't even say I love it. Like I said, I really like it. I really like the film, don't get me wrong, but I can't say I love it because it gets plagued by Infinity War to me at the end of the day. Still, even after seeing it, I would still say that Infinity War plagued this film, man. And I really feel like after watching this one now, I really feel like Infinity War should have left a little bit more to be desired, if that makes sense. Like, they should have left certain things open. They shouldn't, like, they went all in Infinity War, and it's just so hard to top that. So you kind of like shot yourselves in the foot a little bit, in my opinion, making this film, because now it's like, okay, I'm expecting something that's going to be better, and to me, it wasn't. And I'm telling you, I think that, after this opening weekend plays out, I feel like there's going to be a couple more people that's going to say that, man, I went in on this movie on a high, and I thought this was going to be like probably the greatest comic book film ever, and it wasn't really that at all. It didn't live up to that expectation. Like, no, it didn't. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, and it's not the movie's fault. And I feel bad because it is a really good movie, man, and I don't want to take away from that, because like I said, going out of it, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. Even though it was 3 hours long, it felt long, but I enjoyed the 3 hours. Like, I was up the whole time, you know what I'm saying? I was glued to it. I was watching it. Like, yes, it felt long, but it was an enjoyable 3 hours. Like, I really liked it. So I don't want to take away from the goodness of the movie. And I feel like Infinity War kind of does that, to where it kind of takes away that. So if you haven't seen Infinity War, if this is the other problem too, if you're just a general fan, and if you haven't really been following the whole MCU, or you just been following it casually, you only seen like maybe 2-3 films max, and you go into this one, you may be disappointed, man, because if you saw Infinity War and you loved it, and then you go into this one, you're going to be like, oh man, it's going to be like Infinity War Part 2, and then you go into it, and then afterwards you're going to be like, wow, that was a drag, you know what I'm saying? And I could definitely see like general fans, like I have a couple of friends that they're not into the whole comic book thing at all, and I'm very curious to know what they think once they see the film, because like I said, I don't think that they will like this movie once they go and see it. I feel like those type of people, they'll just be completely taken out, because like I said, they made this movie strictly for comic book fans. And I feel like that's the biggest problem. Like, they kind of like isolated, the audience a little bit. That's why I think that once more reviews start coming out, it's going to be more divisive. I think that the general people, like just, average moviegoers who's not really into comic book films, they're not going to really like it as much. Some may be like, okay, it's entertaining at best. I enjoyed myself, but I don't want to see that again. I'm like, I'm cool. And then some gonna be like, man, that was lame. That was like 3 hours, waste of time, and it wasn't as good as Infinity War. I could see a lot of people saying that. But for like comic book heads, like, yeah, for the most part, they're gonna love this. They're gonna eat this up, man. And they already are eating it up. Like, if you watch all the other reviews on YouTube, there's like the big names, Chris Stumming, they all love it, and I understand, because they're fans of the film, they're fans of the franchise, they're fans of the MCU, they're comic book nerds. Of course they're gonna love it, it's fanfare. So at the end of the day, man, I just feel like they should have made this more standalone, because if you just took an average person off the street, and like I said, the average person off the street who don't even really, they know what Marvel is, but they don't know about like Ant-Man and Black Panther. They maybe know about just like Captain America, and that's it, or just Iron Man, or just Thor, or just Hulk. Like, if you just take that average fan and they never see none of the MCU, and then you put them in front of a screen and you show them Infinity War, and then you show them Endgame, you ask them which one is better, I feel like they're going to say Infinity War, because Infinity War is the better standalone film. You could watch that as its own film without even watching all the other ones and still really like it. Like, yo, this film is dope. You're still able to grasp what's going on. You're still able to connect with the character somewhat, because like I said, it stands on its own. This one doesn't. It relies on tying up the whole story. So there's a lot of things that people may not know about, especially if you're a general fan. You may not know about certain characters. You may not know about certain plot points. And a lot of things may just go over your head. And, you know, you may be going into this watching like 2 other Marvel films, and then you may see something and be like, wait, what? Like, how did this happen? And I remember in the other film, like, this happened. And they're going back, like, I could see that happening a lot. So, like I said, those are like kind of like my biggest gripes with it. Jumping subjects here. One of the things I do want to mention, I've seen nobody mention this yet, is the end credit scene. Now, this is a spoiler alert. There is no end credit scene. Yes, there is no end credit scene. None. So, if you watch this film, or if you haven't seen it yet, do not stay for the end credits. Yes, there is a special montage at the end. It's pretty cool. If you want to stay for that, that's fine. But after that, leave. Do not stay, because there is no end credit scene. And I do want to talk about that, and I feel like that's kind of a mistake. And I'm going to explain the reason why. Marvel built this tradition around staying after the credits to watch an end credit scene. They built that tradition. Like, now a lot of people have it ingrained in their heads that once they watch a comic book movie, to stay all the way through. Do not leave the theater. And a lot of people do it now, not only for Marvel films, but they do it for like DC, they do it for like Fox X-Men films. They do that a lot because they set that trend. They set the trend of just continuing the hype, just building up the story, or just expecting something more. And I always look forward to the end credit scenes. That's one of the things I like about the Marvel franchise. Like, that's one of the things I like about the MCU, is the end credit scene. Like, I really look forward to those, because, like I said, it gives you something to look forward to. It creates that hype. It creates that, oh snap, like, yo, this is coming. Like, okay, like when we saw the first Avengers, and at the end credit scene, when we saw Thanos, everybody was hype. It was hype. You know what I'm saying? I could name a couple others, but you always stay. And like I said, for the most part, I mean, a lot of them, they're like pretty funny or whatever, but there are some important ones. You know, in Guardians of the Galaxy, the second one, when they hit to that Adam Warlock, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's those Easter eggs that we all look for. It's that continuance, you know what I'm saying? It's just that mystery, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow, they mentioned this, so I'm like, yo, I'm hyped for the next film, because they may allude to this a little bit more. Like, we may get closer to what this thing is about, or they may mention a certain character that hasn't even shown up yet, and you're like, oh snap, I wasn't even expecting that. So they build this whole tradition of just, you know, just like creating hype every time, and just continuing, like I said, not only continuing the story, but just making things more interesting. Just like keeping the whole story interesting, keeping Marvel interesting, keeping the MCU interesting. And when you take that away, it's kind of like, okay, like, now what? You know, you know what I'm saying? And definitely after this film, I felt that. And I feel like the reason why they didn't, there's a couple of reasons why I feel like they didn't do an end credit scene. With how this film played out, it's much more emotional. It's going to tug on your heartstrings a lot, especially what happens towards the end. I'm not going to spoil it here, but it definitely tugs on your heartstrings. It is a tearjerker. You know, I wasn't teary-eyed. I saw a couple other reviews. It was like, oh, I was teary-eyed. I was like shocked. I was like, okay, well, damn. That was my reaction. I was like, oh shit, you know? But yeah, that was my reaction for the most part. But for other people, they was like really just like really emotional, and they was trying to come to grips with it, you know what I'm saying? So it was very heavy. So I feel like they didn't want to put an end credit scene at the end, because they wanted, like, this movie was made for you to feel emotional. This movie was made for you to kind of like, you know, you put your heart into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it tugs, it's like I said, it's a heart tugger. It tugs at your heart. So by putting the end credit scene, it kind of takes that motion away. You kind of forget about that. And they wanted you to leave the movie with that emotion. They wanted you to leave the movie with that sorrow, with that like, damn, you know, like they wanted you to feel like this was the end, like this was the closure. And if you put an end credit scene right after those moments, it kind of like ruins that experience. It kind of like ruined that moment. So I could kind of see that. But on the other end, it really doesn't, because still, when the end credits was rolling, there's people still sitting in the theater waiting for the end credit scene to happen. You see what I mean? Like, you programmed us to sit in that seat all the way to all the end credits scroll down to see a scene, to see a movie scene, to see an end credit scene. You programmed that in our heads, Marvel. Like, we are used to just staying there for the whole movie to play out so we could see this end credit scene to see what's gonna happen next. And I feel like they missed an opportunity, because now after leaving this theater, now you're like, okay, well, Endgame happened. Now you're like, okay, now what? There's no hype. There's no nothing. Of course, there's something to look forward to, but just imagine, like, if they did an end credit scene where, like, Captain Marvel, she's in space or whatever, just wandering around, right? Or if they did damn, I don't even want to spoil that, but, like, let's just say, like they just showed Captain Marvel or something, or they just showed, like, space, and you heard a voice, right? And you heard, like, you know, basically, like, Silver Surfer or somebody like that. Like, they showed like a silhouette or something, like somebody just flying around with like a narrative, just like the voice, and they hinted at Galactus. Do you know how hype people would have been? Like, that would have set, like, if they had an end credit scene that hinted at Galactus, yo, I would have left the film like, I don't care what happened before that, yo, that to me would have made this movie like a little bit better. That would have kind of made the film if they would have hinted at something. Because like I said, Marvel is known for that. They set the trend. They set that tradition. And for you to not do that, you kind of missed out. Because now it's like after Endgame, like after you see it, you're going to be like, well, okay, like, it's the end, that's it, you know. Whatever happens, happens. But that's not how Marvel films usually end. They usually end on cliffhangers. They usually end with some sort of interest. And you want to continue that interest. You want to still make that statement to say, hey, look, we are Marvel, man. We are continuing the trend. We are just making things more interesting. If you thought this was great, just wait till what we have in the future, man. And they always kept that interest. And I feel like with this one, it's just closure, and that's it. Like, they didn't keep the interest going. They didn't keep that mystique going of like what's gonna happen next, you know. And I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna be like, they're gonna make their own theories of what's gonna happen, but it would have just put this movie on just a whole nother. Even the people who love this film, like if they had an end credit scene hinting at the Fantastic Four, or if they had an end credit scene just hitting at Silver Surfer, that would have just set the bar so much, because nobody would have expected it. You know what I'm saying? And now that, you know, the deal with Disney and Fox went through, nobody would have expected that. And they missed the opportunity. And now I'm thinking about, like, I'm looking at DC, and DC's films are getting better and better, man. So, you know, Marvel's dominance may be, like, waning down. I gotta be honest. You know, especially because you got to look at it. This was over 10 years of story building, of just like character building. 22 films over 10 years. That's a lot of damn time. And for you to, like, I'm looking at the future of Marvel, and I'm like, wait, we're going to do this same thing again? Like, we're going to tell 10 more years of more stories, and it's just gonna be kind of like how this one was, like kind of like the same thing over and over. I feel like they have to go in another direction, and you know, by setting an end credit scene, just hitting at something, it would have been like, okay, now like this is gonna be something completely different. Because now, like, leaving Endgame, you're kind of like, well, it's just stuck on Endgame. You're not really thinking about, of course you're gonna be thinking about, you know, the future, but you're not thinking about it as much if you did have, like, compared to if you did have an end credit scene. Like, if we had an end credit scene hinting at something, like, that would have, like, been the talk of the town. Like, everybody would have been like, yo, like, okay, now it's a go. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what other people feel about that, but to me, it's not, it doesn't, I mean, it's not a make or break thing, but I just feel like there was an opportunity missed. Because for the people like me who didn't really love it as much as other people, by having an end credit scene hinted at, like, you know, somebody who we never thought would have been in the MCU, and now they're in the MCU now because of this end credit scene, now that they're mentioned, now that you know they're in that universe now, that would have kind of made you love the film. That would have kind of made you forget about all the other things that happened in Endgame, because you're like, holy shit, like, yo, are you serious? Like, this is happening right now? And I feel like that could have happened. Like, I feel like Marvel, they could have made that statement, man. If I was Marvel, if I was the head at Marvel, I'm like, yo, you know, I know this movie is emotional. I know we want to tell a very emotional ending. We want to tug on people's heartstrings. We want people to feel that sorrow. We want people to feel that grief. We want people to feel that heaviness. But people are still expecting that end credit scene. So let's give them something. Let's give them something. Let's hit at something. Let's throw something out there. Let's throw something out there. Let's keep that interest going, because we've did that for over 10 years. This is what we did. So let's continue that trend. Let's continue that tradition. Let's continue that interest. Let's keep people coming back for more. You know, you want to keep you want to keep that interest flowing. You know what I'm saying? Because after Endgame, you know, even for fans who's not really into the whole MCU thing, you know, they may not be interested. They be like, okay, this is the end. That's it. Yeah, I'm done. Okay, MCU, great, whatever, blah, 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 move on. But if you had an end credit scene hitting at something, you're going to be like, even the people who's like general fans, they're going to be like, wait, what is this? Like, okay, like, all right, I'm a little bit interested to see what's going to play out in the future. That's how you keep the interest going. And like I said, you could have set the bar so much higher, and that could have overshadowed a lot of the things that was wrong in Endgame, to be honest. So you missed out on that whole opportunity. So now with no end credit scene, everybody is just like up in the air as to what's going to happen. They're like, well, hey, we don't know. Like, you know, it's whatever. But at the end of the day, you set the bar, man. You set that trend of, you know, waiting around for that end credit scene. Everybody looks forward to that because they know they're going to get something good. They're going to get that Easter egg, man. Let me put on my light. Sorry about that. They're going to get that. They're going to get that something. They're going to get that, okay, what's coming next? What's coming next? What's coming next? That's what we wait for. And to not have that, you kind of take that excitement away. You kind of take the hype away. And I feel like if you had that end credit scene, it would have just made a stand. It would have made the statement. It would have been like, yo, if you thought this was good, just wait and see what we have stored in the future. But now it's like, to be honest with you, I'm worried, man, because like I mentioned earlier, you know, I'm looking at DC. I'm looking at, you know, their films that they've been coming out as of late, and they've been getting better and better, man. And now with Marvel, you're kind of like up in the air as to what's going to happen. I mean, we know that Spider-Man Far From Home is coming, and I'm pretty certain that there's going to be an end credit scene. Like, it's guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? It's guaranteed at this point. So, but now I feel like the other reason, this could be another reason why there was an end credit scene, is because they're not really sure themselves of where they're going to take this whole Marvel thing now. And I feel like that's the other reason. And if it's that, then I can understand. They're probably still in the works of trying to plan things out and trying to see, okay, what story are we gonna tell next? Who are we gonna introduce now? You know what I'm saying? Now that certain characters, you know, are not there anymore, like who are we gonna bring in now? Like how are we gonna tell this new saga, this new phase? Where are we gonna go from here? So maybe they're still trying to figure that out. So maybe that's why they didn't have an end credit scene. And I could if it's that, then you know I could kind of understand that. I could understand that. I could respect that. But man, you know how dope would it have been to like see a hint at Galactus, or like I said, like just imagine an end credit scene of like Captain Marvel flying in space, and she runs across, you know, somebody, she runs across somebody, but she doesn't know who it is. And this person is like talking to her, and he's like, you know, giving her hints and clues. And then at the end, you kind of see like a quick image, a quick slow, of Silver Surfer. Everybody would have flipped out. And especially if Silver Surfer hit, like, let's say like Silver Surfer would be like, okay, like basically saying that, you know, there's a greater threat out there, greater than Thanos or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, it just pans to Silver Surfer. Everybody would have flipped. Everybody would have flipped because nobody would have expected that. That's how you're supposed to do it. That's how you keep the whole thing rolling, man. That's how you keep the story rolling. Create that hype. Keep building the hype. And that's what Marvel did for the past 10 years. That's why people love the Marvel film so much, because after every movie, they built on the hype. They kept the story interesting by adding certain elements. They added new things. They added certain Easter eggs because you knew something was coming in the next one. So it made you look forward to the next film because they mentioned this little thing at the end credit scene. So you know you're gonna get more of that in the next film. And they didn't do that here. So I'm like, man, that's just a whole opportunity wasted. To me, I don't know how other people are going to see it, but to me, I feel like it was just a missed opportunity to make that statement, to like keep the hype going, to keep that Marvel interest going, to keep that blood pumping. You know? Something else I wanted to mention now, the whole big battle at the end. You know, I'm seeing a lot of reviews, and a lot of the people who said that they love this film, they're talking about how great and how grand. Like, it is grand. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the last act of the movie, that whole fight scene, it is big. It's super big. But, you know, people are acting like this is something that you never seen before. And I disagree, man. I kind of feel like that whole big battle scene was overrated, to be honest. To me, it didn't blow. To be honest, it didn't like blow me. I wasn't like, oh my God, this is something that I never seen before. Now, yeah, you get to. I don't want to go to. It's hard, man. But when the last battle scene happened, it's like I said, it's big. It's big. But it wasn't something that I'd never seen. It wasn't like, oh my God, I've never seen this before. I've seen this in like a lot of other films. Like, you think about a lot of other movie franchises that had big, grand, epic battles to wrap up the story in the end. Like, we've seen it. I've seen this in Aquaman. Like, Aquaman had a huge battle scene at the end. Yes, it was big. Like, the battle scene at the end of Aquaman was huge. That was a big epic scene, but it wasn't as big and as epic as Endgame, of course, because the stakes are higher in Endgame. But it was still kind of like the same kind of like premise. You still have two opposing sides fighting against each other, and they showed a shot of one army coming towards the other army, and them showing the side shot between both of them, and them coming together. Like we've seen that millions of times. So I don't know why people are acting like, oh my God, this is like so amazing. Yeah, it's good and all, like it's visually stunning, you know, I'll give it that, you know, it's amazing, but it's not something unique. It's not something that we never seen before. Like, we've seen this bunch of times. Lord of the Rings had it. Like I said, Aquaman had it. Infinity War had it. So this is something that the whole premise of just big, huge armies fighting against one another is something that we see, and to me, I'm not really a big fan of that. Because You have a lot of characters that's expendable. You just have, you know, jobbers just you know, clobbering each other and just meaningless people dying. You know what I'm saying? It's just a big mess. You know what I'm saying? And especially with Endgame, how it was shot, you got all these fights going on all at once, but then they'll cut to a scene where somebody's like meeting up with somebody, and that kind of takes away with everything that's going on in the background. So even like this whole big epic battle, you still have distractions here and there because you have certain characters meeting back together for the first time, and you're like, come on, it's like a whole you know what I mean? So to me, I'm not as big on this whole big epic army battle, this big war battle. I'm not really as big on, I'm not a big fan of that because like I said, it's one big mess and it's just too much going on at one time. And like I said, you just have a bunch of just meaningless characters going at each other and just a lot of meaningless people dying. Like, it holds no weight to me. It's just visual eye candy at the end of the day. It just looks nice. As far as like cinematography and special effects, it looks nice. You know, that's pretty much it. And to be honest with you, like, going back to Civil War, one of the scenes that I thought was overrated was the airport scene. I thought that was overrated because I felt like that scene didn't need to be there. That was just there for fan service, to be honest with you. I felt like in Civil War, when shit hit the fan, like when shit got real to me, was when Iron Man was fighting Bucky and Captain America. That's when I was like, holy shit. Like, that to me, like those kind of fights where it's like small and contained and where you just have like maybe like a couple of people fighting at max where it means something, those are the fights that I gravitate towards too. Those fights hold a lot more weight to me. Like in Infinity War when Spider-Man and Iron Man and Doctor Strange and Peter Quill are all fighting Thanos on Titan. Like, that fight scene was ill because it's small and contained. You don't have like this big giant army of people coming at each other and everybody just like, ah, and then you have, you know, all these special effects going around, like everything is a huge scratch. No, it's just the main characters, the people who you care about with the main villain who you care about fighting one another to the death. That means something. Having a big scene with just these big, all these soldiers and all these people just going at each other for, you know, not to say for no reason, but all these people that you don't care about going at each other, killing off each other. You don't care because it's just thousands of people dying. Like, you don't know who these people are. They're just there just because it's a fight scene and it just needs to happen because you need to see big action. So here you go, like thousands of people just killing off each other. It don't hold any weight. But when you have the characters who you do care about going against the villain who you care about, and whoever makes it out at the end, that's important to the story. Those are the fight scenes that's important to me. So like I said, when I saw Civil War, the whole airport scene, yes, it did have characters that we did care about, but I feel like that scene was just so tacked on. It felt kind of forced. It was cool, like I said, it was a good, you know, it wasn't bad or anything, but I just felt like it was just kind of forced and it was kind of just like fanfare. But the fight scene that I cared about was the one with Cap, Iron Man, and Bucky. That was the one. When I saw that was when like, oh snap, this is real, because they was like fighting to the death. They was like, it looked like they was about to take each other out. Like, they was like, you could see the anger and the frustration when Cap and Iron Man was fighting, and you just felt it. You was just like, man, these two was like best buddies, and now they're going against each other like this. Like I said, it was almost to the point where you thought that one of them was gonna kill each other, and that was when like the bar was raised. That was when like shit got real. That was where I was like, oh snap, like, yo, they're really going at it. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I know this has been a long one. I think I got everything that I wanted to say. I'm going to save some other stuff for the official review, but this is not the official review. This is just like more Marvel talk. I think that's what I'm going to title this video, just Marvel Endgame talk. And I'm just going to end it here. It's a long one, but yeah, just look out for the review. I'm going to post this all this weekend. So, yeah, man, I'm out.